Hey, co-reporters, or if you're new here, welcome newbies. So again, we are trying this members only but in public live stream situation for the second time now because we had such a good time the first time around. So just to recap for some of you guys, for the past year and a half, I've had a members only section of my channel, my premium co-reporters, as I like to affectionately call them, where I have private videos for people who have a subscription to my channel, like a paid subscription to my channel. And so recently I was like, you know what if we started making some of these videos public to share with some of our friends who maybe are not able to get memberships, but they still want to see what we're talking about over here. So I do often recap Kail's podcasts in my members only streams. Normally they're private, but now we're trying a couple out in public. So hi to my members and hi everybody else who's here. If you'd like to sign up for a membership to join us on those private videos and to chat in chats like this, it's youtube.com/gracesupport/join, or just hit that join button that you see somewhere down on your screen. So let's talk about this. In this week's episode of Kail's Baby Mamas No Dramas podcast, she came for Chris again. She came for Chris at the very top of the episode, and then she came for him again at the very end of the episode. The woman is obsessed with the man and she just won't stop. So hi Sabrina, hi Lacey. She really does need a hobby. Slow, nice to see you. Hi May. Yup, it really never stops. Hi Kelly, hi Denise, hi Katsiana. Shannon Ben is here. Hi Shannon Ben, nice to have you, my darling. Okay, so let's start off. I'm going to do this whole episode in order. So at the very top of the episode, she provided an update on the car accident that she was recently in. I did a private stream about this with my premium co-reporters, but now let me just recap it for you guys. So Kail was involved in a car accident a couple of weeks ago where she was rear-ended by somebody, and she did end up going to the hospital after this, and her car was damaged as a result of it, et cetera, et cetera. And so now it's turning out that the person who hit her someone hit her and they were responsible for it. I initially thought that maybe this car accident was a result of Kail's penchant for texting and driving or FaceTiming while driving, but no, she was rear-ended by somebody. And so the person who hit her car, unfortunately, was underinsured. And so now Kail had, the people with the car rental place have mailed Kail to tell her this. And she's like, am I going to have to start coming out of pocket to pay for this? It's not my fault. Someone rear-ended me. So why should I have to pay for, car rentals and, damages out of pocket if it was not my fault? So there was a really big discussion about it. And thanks so much for that, Shan. Yes, you guys, if you like these types of sweatshirts, this is an RHOA. You guys remember that reunion, but there's plenty more on realitymerch.com. So yeah, so, they had a really big conversation about that, and she's very upset. Kail says that she still has neck and back pain ever since the accident. She was asking if her children were going to be compensated, as a result of the accident because something happened to them as well, although she did not disclose what exactly it was that they were suffering from. Crazy Me says, Kail loves to be the side piece to everything. She was the side to Javi, and now she's a side piece to Chris. This chick has no shame whatsoever. And she was very loud and proud when she was telling Lauren, good luck, he's been cheating on you since you were pregnant, peace out, kind of a thing, just for karma to hit her in the face, right? OMG. And it's nice to see you as usual, Elegantly Wasted. Hello, and welcome, Jennifer, as a new channel member. So yeah, now she's saying that, there was car seat adjustments that needed to be made because her initial car was already custom fitted for the car seat that she had, but now she has to get a conversion, et cetera, et cetera. The costs really are adding up. You guys, I fortunately, knock on wood, have never been in a collision, but I can't imagine. Have any of you guys been in this sort of a situation where you were hit by somebody else? They were responsible, but they were either underinsured or not insured at all. And then you ultimately wound up having to pay for everything. The insurance people told Kail maybe she could pursue the person legally as a result of them being underinsured. But Kail was like, well, if they're underinsured, they probably don't have much money. So why would I go and spend extra money on top of all of this to sue people who probably don't have much money for me to recoup any kind of cost from. It is a very disappointing and sad situation all the way around. But yes, to answer your question, May, does she not have full coverage or what? And if the other person was underinsured, what about hers? So they did touch on this, and she did ultimately say, she's going to reach out to her own insurance because for some real weird reason, the two insurance companies were not chatting with each other about this situation. His insurance were speaking to Kail, and Kail now has to relay the message to her own insurance company. And she's saying, okay, well, I do have a lot of coverage in my insurance, but will my premium go up if I'm the one who has to get all of these expenses covered through my own insurance? Like, the whole thing is dizzying, I really do wonder how this is going to kind of play out at the end of the day for her. So if any of you guys have been in this situation, or if you are a lawyer when it comes to insurance or auto insurance or whatever, please chime in. We really need to know this. Rebel with a Cause says that sucks that the driver was uninsured, but it sounds like Kail was underinsured too. If I'm not in fault, my insurance takes care of all of that. You know what? Well, it sounds like you have a little bit of expertise then, Rebel with a Cause. So if you have full insurance, does that mean that your premium won't go up? Like, what happens? Like, where does all that money come from at the end of the day? Like, I don't know. It's wild. Usually car seats need to be replaced after an accident. Oh, that was right. Thank you so much, Elegantly Wasted. That was the reason. I might not like her, but thank goodness she and everyone else is okay. Yes, exactly. Thank goodness for that. I've been hit by someone who wasn't insured, but I have awesome insurance that took care of everything for me. Well, that's amazing. Okay, so did your fee or anything like that end up changing as a result of your insurance having to cover everything? Or was it all just, okay? And hi, just for the tea. It's nice to have you as usual. Elegantly Wasted. A bus driver rear-ended me, then lied and said I backed into him. Hawaii has a no-fault state, so I would have to pay the deductible. Ouch. I am so sorry. And that is so disappointing. I can really see why people these days are not messing around when it comes to dash cams or rear cams or whatever, because people do lie like this, and it is unfortunate. So she says it, by the way, a little detail here. She says that the person who rear-ended her while driving 60 miles per hour while being on their phone. Hopefully seeing this happen to her in real life will inspire her to not use her phone, to text and drive, or to FaceTime and drive anymore, because things like this really can happen. So remember how I told you guys about her picking fights with Chris on the podcast per usual? At the top of the episode, she talked about spending Thanksgiving at one of her friends' houses. And she's like, me and the little kids' dad are fighting. So I definitely wasn't going to spend Thanksgiving there. When has Kail ever spent Thanksgiving at Chris's family's house? Someone please riddle me that, because I have never heard of such a sorry, my lipstick. I have never heard of such a thing. Last I heard, remember when we saw it play out on the show, Chris had ordered Kail to exclusively, this was before they conceived Creed, to exclusively communicate with him through his aunt, through her phone as the mediator. So how does someone like that invite you to spend Thanksgiving dinner with them ever? I don't know that ever happened, but I digress. So here she talks a little bit about how Tammy Roman, a woman who was on Basketball Wives, the initial season of Real World, she went on The Real to talk about how her, as an older woman with grown kids, doesn't want to go and start over again and have another child. And so she says that her younger husband, she gives him permission to have a child with somebody else. And then she will be there to kind of like, I don't know, be a stepmom or something like that to the child, just so long as she does not have to personally give birth to the child. So V and Kail talked about this a little bit, and they said that, listen, this does not really work with me. This does not really jive with me, because if he goes and sleeps with someone else, they have a sort of connection in that respect, right? And then bringing a child with that, it's another level of a connection that they'll have as well that Tammy would not really have with a man, right? Like the whole child connection. So why open Pandora's box in that way and invite that sort of energy in? What if the guy starts cheating behind her back with the mother of the child, et cetera, et cetera? And so Kail says that she would never accept cheating in a relationship again after her last relationship, which obviously was a reference to Chris, right? Like she's always bringing up Chris some way, somehow. It really never ends with her. Rebel with a cause when it comes to car insurance says, no, I wasn't made to pay because I wasn't at fault, but I had to pay my deductible, which wasn't that bad. It depends on your insurance and how many accidents you have. Thank you for the tea. I love it. Katsi says, I was rear-ended by a cab. I had to pay deductible. Car was written off and I got paid. Ka-ching, ka-ching to that, girl. I'm happy you guys are okay, by the way, in these car accidents. May says, not teen mom related, but wondering if Selling Sunset would be something you would recap. I'd love your commentary. You know what? I have not yet watched this season of the show. I think I tried one episode or two episodes, and it was too Christine focused. I know that Christine is like the pot stirrer and everything, but I would love to see the other people bring up the drama. I'll try it. I'll try to finish off the season, but I tapped out after like 1.5, maybe 2 episodes. So you guys, V reveals that she and Joe were initially on the fence about having more children, but the more they talk about it, they really kind of came to the decision, and it is now definitive for them that they are not going to have any more children. They're happy. They've got Isaac, who's 12, and Valise, who is 6 years old. And so V's like, listen, I'm finally in a really good place with like my career, this podcast. I'm on fire and I'm putting myself first. Like I'm really focused. And the newborn phase, the first few years of a child, they're tough. And I don't want to go backwards into that and kind of take time away from what I've got going on professionally, which I completely, totally understand. All the more power to her. And what else is great for her is that Joe is very supportive of her either way. If she wants to have more kids, he's fine having more kids. If she doesn't, he's fine no longer having any more kids. So they've definitely at this point decided that they do not want to have any more kids. They're happy with what they've got. And, something that she also said is like, listen, with Isaac being 12, Valise being 6 years old, like imagine having a baby all over again. Like Joe and I already came up with our retirement plan, right? Like Isaac in 6 years, he's going to be off to college. Valise, she's got 12 more years. Like, do we really want to push back, like our, plans to travel together alone when we're empty nesting, all of that stuff. Like this is what they have been considering right now. And I was like, you know what? That is a really good way to think about it. Rebel with a Cause says, it's ironic that she's afraid to be cheated on by a man, going back to their baby mama when she did that to Javi to Lauren. Listen, people are always scared of the things that they do most, right? Like cheaters are scared of being cheated on. People like this are scared of things like that. Like it is very true. She's very scared of her karma catching up to her. And that's why she's so strictly against dating men with children. She's afraid of them cheating on her with the baby mama. And now, look at what she's done over here in the situation, like you point out, Rebel with a Cause. And not to mention Chris, because, here's the thing. I suspect that she was letting Chris hit it again. Yeah. We'll get to that. But I strongly suspect when I read between the lines of the stuff she was saying that she has let Chris hit it again, possibly even shoot up the club. Okay. To me, it sounds like the reason that she knows that Chris allegedly cheated on his pregnant baby mama is because the other woman is her. But we'll get into that. In the meantime, if you were enjoying the stream, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Let's guard a little bit of suspense for ourselves. KG says, Kail should take notes on V's family's planning skills. I know, right? Like, I feel like she would be really happy if she had that kind of like a tunnel vision about, where her life is going and everything, because she used to have that. And that's what we used to love about her. But then she kind of just lost all direction after her marriage to Javi. Yes. I'm seeing so much love for Joe and V and their situation over there. So that's nice. Hi, Alexis. Nice to have you here. Let's get some more likes. So smart of Joe and V to leave the family. Yes, exactly. A lot of people don't really think about that. Honestly, I never really thought about that because I'm not having babies, so I'm like, I'm not thinking about these things right now, but I'm like, damn, okay. But when you start, you really do have to think about all the stuff that you want to do after them and plan accordingly. So when it comes to Kail potentially having more babies, she's been kind of hinting at, going to freeze her eggs or this or that, IVF, whatever. She has said that she would like to have a girl one day, potentially, if it were possible. Maybe she would go down the gender selection route. I really don't know. But at this point in time, in this week's episode, well, the one that came out this morning, she says that she doesn't really want to have any more kids right now. When she's got all these kids running around in the house, or when she goes to visit her friends with kids, she's not getting baby fever. Her youngest is Creed. He's like 18 months old or something like that. He's just getting off the bottle. She's like, I don't know that I want to go through this again, but I would potentially be willing to have another child again if I meet somebody who wants to have another kid. So she definitely is keeping the options open. May says she's got that Luke energy, right? Luke energy. I think she was more, and that is the thing. For me, it was before she was making money that she was so practical and smart and everything. And then when she got, those real big deposits, boom, all of a sudden, all hell broke loose. Hi, Triple V and me. Thank you so much for the super chat, super sticker. This sounds like this might be a channel. I'm going to check out your channel a little bit later. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. We're done. We have a 16 and a 15 year old stepchildren, and 10, 9, and 3. Wow, good for you. You are so close. The finish line is near. I'm excited for you guys. Before she was making money. Okay, I agree with you. Is it just me, or do you think that Kail would be competitive and rough on a daughter? I think she's better suited to boys. That's a good question. I kind of feel like she would be very protective over a girl. I feel like she overcompensates for the fact that she is the woman, the sole woman in her son's life. And that gives her this kind of complex, like power tripping complex. And she also worries that, boys have a stronger bond with dads than they would with a mom. I don't know, that's the vibe I get from her. And so I feel like with her, she would assume or believe that a girl would have a stronger bond with a mom than a boy would, especially when you think about her relationship with Lincoln. If you listen to her podcast, she's very often talking about how Lincoln has a very strong relationship with Javi. That's his best friend in the world. He tells Javi stuff he would never tell Kail. She talks about how she's cried a couple of times, because Lincoln is just so close to Javi. And if he notices any tension between Javi and Kail, he will distance himself from Kail to honor his father. Like it's a mess a little bit to that extent. But yeah, so I feel like if she had a girl, she'd be like, you know what? Finally, I've got someone who's by default my gender. So I've got that little bit of an advantage. So I would think that she'd be a little bit softer. I don't know though. You really never know. Thank you so much, you guys. Yes, if you're enjoying this stream, please give it a thumbs up. Marie says, I have one 2-year-old and I know I'm done, child. Congrats on your 2-year-old. It's such a cute little age with the chubby cheeks and stuff. Congrats. But I feel you. You know when you know. Yes, and I pray for that too. So now, you guys, a little bit later on in the stream, Kail actually opens up about her dynamic with her kids. Do you know how a lot of people have been saying online that they feel as though Kail has a favorite child and that favorite child is her son, Lux? Right over here to Chris's left or right. Well, she did say, she admits on this morning's episode of her podcast that she has the strongest bond with Lux. She feels emotionally the closest to Lux. Does that surprise you? Yes or no? To me, it does not surprise me, just based off all the stuff that I've seen on her social media and everything, and what you guys say. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. What does surprise me though is that Kail would openly admit it. Not that it's wrong. It just surprises me that she's ready to talk about it. And she explains why she feels emotionally closest to her son, Lux. She says that it's that way because Chris was not around to help. She says that Chris not being around made her feel resentful to get up in the middle of the night to feed Lux and change him, because she was like, why am I the only one doing this? I did not make this baby alone. Chris was a part of this. So why is he skirting his responsibilities, right? So you're probably, like me, wondering why that does not apply to Creed, because Creed is another child of Chris's that she claims that Chris was not around for, right? Remember, he shouldn't have been around for because there was a no contact order. They shouldn't have even been pregnant with the child because of the no contact order, but I digress. Let me put a picture of these little cuties. Wait, where are these cuties? There they are. So for some reason, she feels emotionally closest to Lux because Chris was not around to help with Lux, but that does not apply to Creed. And I don't know. You guys' guess is as good as mine. But what she says, what she claims on the podcast is the reason she says that it's because she was unprepared to have Lux. And so she was resentful that she didn't have any help. But then with Creed, she's like, I was prepared to do it alone this time around. And so that's why I don't feel resentful when I have, when I have to get up and do all of these things with him, because I just knew that this is how it was going to be this time around. One thing that bothered me in this episode is that Kail never once mentioned her live-in nanny Natalie, and Nanny Natalie's son. Both of them live with her to help her with Creed specifically, so it's weird to me that she's talking about like parenting, and like later on in the episode, I'll bring this up again, but later on in the episode, she talks about how she likes to give people advice, especially first-time moms and stuff. It's like, are you giving people good, realistic advice about, parenting and stuff if you have live-in help and they most likely do not? You do have to be honest. There's nothing wrong with how, honestly, it's amazing. I want to have live-in help, but you have to be honest with people. Otherwise, you're setting them up for expectations that, it won't really happen that way for them, unfortunately. And that might cause them a great deal of issues, and I don't know, that makes me very sad. Paula says, my mother and I have a strong relationship, but my mom has never embarrassed me or my dad. You know what? Kail does that on the daily, on the weekly, on social media. She is always throwing shots at these baby daddies. Pug Lover says it's definitely wrong to admit that. And what she's referring to is Kail admitting that she feels emotionally closest to her third child, her third son, Lux, out of all of her kids. My mom has openly said my sister is her favorite, and it definitely shows. It made me resent my sister and made me feel not enough. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And that is sad. That really is sad. That should not happen. It shouldn't. It shouldn't. That's heartbreaking because, like you said, it makes you resent the other child. And neither of you deserve that. You deserve to have a good, healthy relationship as siblings. And then the toll it takes on your own self-esteem. That sucks. I feel Lux was planned. Well, she claims he was planned, right? She's like, when I was like 25, my doctor told me I have to have a baby now or never. I would never be able to get pregnant if I don't do it now. So that's the story she ran with. And she's still sticking with that story in a certain sense, because she's saying that the reason why she resented Chris was because he didn't help, even though she expected him to or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. It's a mess. It's a mess, you guys. But this girl is a mess in general. Welcome to the channel, Becky, Megan. Nice to have you. Thank you so much for your support. Imagine being a single mom of 5, even with the nanny. Yikes. Well, that's the thing, because if Kail finds another man, will it last? I don't believe so, because Kail doesn't really change in between all of these people. She's always talking about being in therapy, but here she is still doing the same old thing she's always done, right? To get herself into trouble. So it really, 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 I don't know. I don't see a relationship of hers lasting until she really makes a genuine change. And here's the thing too, Shan, I would have thought that she would have felt closest to Isaac because they basically grew up together, right? Like she was 16, 17 years old when she had him. So I would have thought that would have been a different bond, because Macy often talk, and I think Chelsea as well, they talk about how the bond with their child that they had when they were a teenager is much different than the bond with the children they have when they're a lot more stable. So yeah, it is kind of interesting that it was not the case with Kail. Not that anything is any better or worse. It's just interesting that it's different, right? Here's my thing with Kail. After 2 kids, I refuse to believe she did not plan Lex and Creed when she has said on social media that she does not do birth control because of weight gain. Yeah, here's the thing. A lot of these people claim that they weren't planning or this or that. But listen, if you were raw dogging it and you were not on nothing, you were planning to have a baby. So don't come crying to me when you get pregnant, right? So listen, she talks about how much harder it is to have someone around in your life, like as a baby daddy, who chooses not to help out than to be completely alone. So she says when she had Creed, she did not feel any resentment to Chris because he was completely not there and she didn't expect him to be there. So she didn't have a chance to build any kind of resentment for him when Creed was born. She's like, all right, I got to do all of this and that's fine. That's fine. That's what I got to do. And she also claims that Chris did not see his son Creed for the first 6 months of his life. Can anybody verify that? Because as you recall, Chris was there for the birth of the child. But I don't know much beyond it. I know Chris posts photos of the kids here and there, and his father does as well. But I don't know if it's true or not that he was not around for the first 6 months of Creed's life. It seems like a lot. of time to miss. It seems like a noticeable amount of time to miss. I feel like maybe I would have done a story on it, like, you know, if this were true, if he really wasn't around for the 6 months, because it would have been very weird. But I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments. Just drinking some water, just hydrating in the background. So when it comes to Creed's conception, Kail actually admits on the podcast that she's very resentful about the circumstances leading up to his conception. Again, to that I say, Kail, the courts put a no contact order between you and Chris before Creed was born. You both, as consenting grown adults, decided to continuously ignore the no contact order, bump uglies, and get pregnant and have the baby. So to me, it's like, I don't know, like that you can really say that, you know, people really try to keep you guys apart for a reason, and neither of you wanted to listen, right? It sucks, you know, it really sucks. It's nice, of course, that she's got this beautiful new, you know, Creed, this baby and everything like that, but it sucks that she feels resentful. I don't think that she should really feel resentful, because listen, you played a part in this situation yourself. You know, you were 3 kids in at this point. You know how ovulation works. You know how conception works. You know how all of it works. So I don't know. Now, here's a funny story that she actually told about her marriage to Javi. She says that at a certain point in her marriage to Javi, while she was breastfeeding Lincoln, she says Lincoln was breastfed for a year. At a certain point, she was frustrated with all of the sleep that Javi was getting. She's like, listen, let me just tell you guys, Javi was doing his best, especially as a 20-year-old at that time, right? 20-year-old stepdad to one and dad to a new one. So this is nothing against his parenting. But this one night when I was up breastfeeding, nursing Lincoln, I looked at Javi sleeping and I was pissed. So I whipped my titty out and I squirted him with my breast milk. And he woke up so pissed off at me. I can't believe we don't know that story. I feel like it should have made it onto Teen Mom 2, because it's hilarious and it is so Kail. I think it's hilarious. Like, it's rude, but it's like, listen, the postpartum hormones, the anger, the this, the that, like, I get it, Kail. I get it. Like, I could see why you would be so like angry or whatever, but like, it's to me, it's hilarious a little bit, but maybe it's not nice. I don't know. It's just so Kail. You know, it's one of those stories where you're like, wow, that does not shock me at all. So Shan says, I would have thought Isaac was okay. So I am so far behind. I am so far behind. Raw Dog, I'm sorry. I gotta say it. Maybe Isaac feels more like a friend than a child, whereas Lux feels more like her actual child. That very well could be it. By the way, your dress is so cute, Becky Megan. Oh, the fact that she had said she wanted one of her kids to have a full sibling, and she specifically said Chris was her option. Yes, she used to kind of like jokingly say that she wanted Chris's sperm and that did she say she would pay for it? But I do remember her saying that she really wanted his sperm, not even him, but his sperm. So yeah, Kail, you planned these. Don't cry victim now. You planned it. You know how all of this works. I am not going to let you play dumb with me. Not today, Satan. Not today. Let me take this off so I could thank beautiful Sally Owens. Thank you for your super sticker. Merci. That is so nice of you. Thanks for supporting the channel. Rebel says, it blows my mind how she has the nerve to be resentful about Creed's conception when she's a grown woman that knew better. Exactly. And Alexis, same here, girl. Same here. If those hormones are raging and like you're just like so tired, she's like, I was running on E. I was not getting any sleep and I just went crazy one night. It's like, that is the least of what Kail has done, right? Like, she shook Javi in the head. She allegedly punched Chris over a haircut. So getting squirted with a little bit of titty milk, it's all good. Shake it off. You'll be fine, Javi. So again, I mentioned this a little bit earlier on in the episode, but she talks about how she enjoys giving advice to first-time moms, looking to her for help and everything like that. But listen, you've got live-in help. You don't want to admit to it. So I don't know that people should necessarily trust some of the stuff that she tells them. Of course, she knows a lot about, raising kids. She's got 4, but she needs to be honest about having live-in help and, setting people's expectations that way. So now someone wrote this is where she gets into snitching on Chris for allegedly cheating on his baby mama. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. This is la pièce de résistance. Get ready. So she and V have a section on their podcast called Down in the DMs, okay? And someone wrote into the podcast to talk about how in their house, she walked in one day to find her baby daddy smashing somebody else. And so she broke up with him, and then he moved into that house. And then she went in one day to get something because she still had the key, and she saw, let me read it because I wrote it down. Someone writes into the podcast about catching their baby daddy cheating, and then their baby daddy gets cheated on in the same house, and she walked in on it too, or something like, he filmed himself walking into that house and showed it to her as if she would be sympathetic to him getting cheated on, as if he didn't cheat on her as well. The whole thing was a mess. And so Kail and V laugh about how dumb men are to cheat in their house, as if they wouldn't know that, their significant other who also lives there would eventually come home, right, and see it and know that something was off or catch them in action. And this kind of reminded me of Kail cheating on Jordan, that really tall guy she was dating once, with Joe. And I think it happened in the house, right? I know that the reenactment was staged or whatever, but it reminded me of her cheating on Jordan with Joe in the house. Jordan didn't live there or anything like that, but I don't know if he had a key or what, but he was always there as well. So don't laugh too hard, sis, because you've done something a little bit similar at some point in your life. And we got you on, not 4K because technology wasn't great back then, but we caught you on VHS. So here's the point where she accuses Chris Lopez of cheating on his pregnant girlfriend. You know what? I've got the timestamp. I'm going to play it for you right here on the podcast, okay? So let's take a listen, okay? Let's take a listen. I'm going to turn up the volume, and you guys let me know if you hear it correctly. I'm going to play it on 1.2 speed because these girls talk too damn slow.
Myself and anyone that I know that has cheated, but for men, I do think there are more opportunistic men that will cheat because they can. Yeah. Like, I know someone who has someone pregnant right now and went and was with somebody else. Oh, Lord. Yeah. Like, you have a whole pregnant-ass woman, and you live with her, and then you went and you slept with somebody else. Like, make it make sense. Just because you have the opportunity to, because she doesn't get on social media like that, because she doesn't go through your phone. It's not going to blow up, or she's going to stay regardless, even if she finds out. So you're going to go do it because you can. Yeah, you know what I mean? Definitely opportunistic, I would say. So but I'm not bringing them back to my house. Yeah, no, I would never do that. That just doesn't.
Becky, you're so funny. Yes, in the Wawa parking lot. So what you heard there was Kail on her podcast claiming to know somebody cheating on their pregnant girlfriend. Is it not obvious that she is talking about Chris? This is not the first time she's told a story about Chris without actually mentioning his name, but you can tell with all of the context clues that she is talking about Chris, right? Like this whole episode, she's been specifically talking about Chris, how she's upset with him and this and that. And now here she goes. And Chris, coincidentally, according to Kail, Kail's the one who even broke the story, has a pregnant girlfriend right now. And she says that the girlfriend isn't really on social media like that, which is true because we've never seen this girl online. I don't know why this girl is not online, because this is her chance to shine and come out and really, tell her side of everything. And you know what I mean? I don't know why she's not coming out, but I digress. And so she's talking about how the girl's not online. We know that Chris's pregnant girlfriend is not a social media girl like that. And then she talks about how this girl, Chris is cheating on her because she always accepts it. Well, Kail did say, and she admitted Chris's name. She said that Chris cheats on this girl with Kail and cheats on Kail with this girl as well. It's always been a cycle, and it had happened like that for a couple of years. So when you put all of that together, it is very, very easy to know who Petty Betty is referring to. And at this point, again, I ask you, what is Kail's obsession with harassing her ex's girlfriends whenever they're pregnant? We saw her do it to Lauren when she was pregnant with Eli. She was laughing at her on TV. Congratulations on getting pregnant and engaged. He's been cheating on you since you were pregnant. I did a stream with you guys as well a couple of days ago where she's making all of these different TikToks I might have 3 different baby daddies, but I'll never be the second baby mama. Like, these are all coordinated shots against the same person. Then she comes back a couple hours later with another TikTok oh, someone's pissed. They think this is about them, but it's not about you unless I mention you by name. Like, I don't know what's going on with her, but in my opinion, Kail, I don't know that therapy is working for her. I think that's something, I don't know, like maybe switch therapists, maybe try something else in addition to therapy. Like, I don't know. I'm getting nervous for her, honestly. I'm getting concerned. You guys know I don't really like this lady, but I think she's very sad. I think she's very miserable. And I think that she is spiraling. This is not normal behavior to be so fixated on somebody like this, that you've already kind of dragged through the mud over the past several years. Like, I don't know. I really don't even know what to say, right? I really don't even know what to say about Kail at this point. Can you guys help me? Sometimes I'm just at a loss for words. And to me, it very obviously seems like she's the one who is cheating with Chris, So, and I say that because how else would she know? Chris doesn't like her, and his friends probably don't like her either. Like, so hang on, let me sip my water. Let me sip this water. His family probably doesn't really care for her. I know the dad doesn't really care for her because she was on the podcast talking about how she considers him to be almost a deadbeat grandfather. I did a private stream about that too with my channel members. If you'd like to catch that, make sure to sign up for our channel membership, YouTube.com/Grace/join. Kail legit thinks she's so slick. Like, stop subtweeting people on your podcast. Just at them and be honest, bro. She's like, I know someone who, exactly, it's you. And the reason you know that he is allegedly cheating on his pregnant girlfriend is because you are the side chick. In my Maury voice, you are the side chick, right? Like, come on. Like, we're not dumb here. Like, she's been happy being aside to the side for years. So why would she stop now, especially with her being upset that this other woman's pregnant? So she wants to have that trump card and she wants to let it be known. I think this is her low-key telling the woman that I'm still banging him. She doesn't want to come out and say she's banging Chris, obviously, because the optics are horrible after all she said about him. But I think she's still banging Chris, you guys. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Tell me. Because I think they're, because, like, I don't know, like when people are just constantly going at each other like this, there's that tension in the air that can only be diffused, one way, at least in the case of Kail and Chris, seemingly anyway. She wouldn't be a second baby mama if she had the chance. Honestly, she totally would. If she met someone that was like smoking hot, great career and everything, and wanted to be with her, she would be in there like swimwear. And there's nothing wrong with it. You know what I mean? Like, why brag about being the first when you can brag about being the last? I'm the last one he had the kids with. We got married and we're together happily ever after. Why brag about, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. May says jealousy. They will never take her seriously again. So she will settle as a side chick. Yup. And let me finish scratching my eyeball so I could properly. Thank you, MR. Thank you so much for this super chat, MR. That is so nice of you. Thank you. This has been such a pattern for Kail since Joe. It really seems like she wants her exes to never move on and to be as obsessed with her as she is with them. And that is exactly it. Honestly, I want to be real with you guys. I think it eats Kail up. I know she's friendly with V and accepted her and everything. But I think it eats Kail up that Joe is still with the person that he got with after they broke up. He didn't have to go through all of the different, having all these baby mamas, all these broken relationships and stuff like that. He found someone and he stuck with that someone, had another baby, and is living happily ever after, is collecting houses, for his real estate portfolio. Not like Kail, right? Kail, she buys a house. She decides that she wants to move to chase Chris. Then she builds a house and she's building a house and she's already talking about how she already doesn't like it and wants to move again. She's just running around here, there, everywhere with no sense of stability. And I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it eats her up that she just doesn't have that kind of a nice, stable life. Like, she's created a real tornado and a real mess of her life. And there's no cleaning it up, right? Because these are real live people involved in it, like real live children, real live babies. And, I don't know. I do too. She's at the heaviest she's ever been. Quit teen mom for kids and a man. She really did not see her life. Yeah, like I think that her actions on TikTok and in this podcast and in all of her other podcasts, all of her social media posts just being shady are a result of just how unhappy she is with where her life is right now and how different it is from what she thought it would have been. And, like you, Pug Lover, I feel bad for the kids as well. Like, it's all public. She talks about how her kids are on TikTok and stuff like that. So they probably see a lot of this stuff, They do. And like Sabrina says, like, how is this your first trophy? Look at this. Look at this. It's not a trophy. Like what Joe and B have, that's a trophy, Not, you're right. No, you're right. There's something going with her, which is worrying. Like, it's playing out in real time. She's not filming for the show right now, so we're not really going to know one way or the other, but I don't know. Like, I would really like to see Kail, like, just go on like a Caitlyn style retreat or something for herself. She probably needs the time. Whenever she goes on vacation, it's with all the kids and stuff. But I would like to see her drop the kids off with all of their different dads and just take some time off for herself to really figure out what is going on. Kail said that he's not an active stepmother. Ooh, it's funny because she complains that Lauren is an active stepmother, right? So like, you really can never win with this woman, which is why she really needs to just go away for a little bit and just figure everything out, because her sadness and her misery really is showing through in all of the stuff that she's doing on social media that I would really like to kind of see, go away at least a little bit. So speaking of all of this, do you remember that girl? Let me pull her up. What's the name of that girl? She kind of looked like a budget version of Ruby Rose. Dom? What's her name? Dom? Let me look it up. I'm looking it up, you guys. So do you remember that girl? And then she went and did all of those like interviews and stuff about like her experience. Yeah, here she is. Or maybe like a dark-haired Justin Bieber. I don't know. Here. I'm going to add the photo to the stream, you guys. So that girl, Dom, Kail talked about her. She brought her up in this podcast, you guys. And, here she is still talking about Chris in the podcast as well. But she talks about Dom and how she played Dom for Chris and everything because she was so obsessed with him. And it's like, you're fighting with this guy. You claim that you want nothing to do with him. He's this awful person. But this whole podcast episode literally is about your obsession with this man. I don't get it. But listen, okay, so here's a photo, you guys. This is Dom and Kailyn. So at some point in the podcast episode, she talks about playing this girl. She says she used to jerk this girl around. She never mentioned her by name, but it was very obvious because this girl, Dom, went to all of the outlets to talk about Kail playing her. She's like, I had this girlfriend for a little bit that I used to keep on this back burner. And like, whenever like this other guy, who was obviously Chris, would take me back, I would dump her and go, and then vice versa. If she dumped me again, I'd go back to her and then, we'd get back together and then I'd dump her again. So it's sad. Like, her obsession with this man is strong, you guys. It really, really is strong. Like, I think it's because of how badly he treated her. Unfortunately, like a relationship, when it's very, very toxic, you're always, I read this, that you're like always in survival mode. Your adrenaline is always going. And so it just creates this level of attachment that is just so unhealthy. And that is definitely what is evident in this. I think that Kail still has not healed from this at all. And she needs to, in order to move forward with her life, because this unfortunately has her on a standstill. And I would really like to see her, kind of move forward for herself and for her children as well. I was quite surprised to see her bring up Dom because she never really addressed that situation. Like, we saw Dom on the show and everything like that, but, yeah, like, I don't know. What did you guys think about that? Her talking about, admitting to jerking around Dom. Is Dom still on social media, y'all? Let me go look at my Twitter. Is Dom still around? Because if she is, I would love to have her on if she would like to, to get her side of this and hear what she has to say about Kail admitting. She doesn't apologize. She doesn't say, hey, listen, at this point, I would like to kind of, formally apologize to that girl. She knows who she is. She kind of just told a story instead. And yeah, I was kind of surprised about that. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to catch up on all of your comments. By the way, you guys, if you're enjoying the stream, please give it a thumbs up. Help us continue to get in your algorithm whenever I go live. Pretty please. Da, 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 da. Okay. I can't imagine how hard it is to have to talk about your own life all the time when you truly have nothing actually going on. She's probably so much. Yeah, you know what? Like, even in like the communications world, I think she probably would do well there. So I hope, something like that happens for her. But the thing is, she's making money, money, money on the podcast that she wouldn't really in the 9 to 5 world. Yeah. You guys. Okay, so it seems pretty unanimous that people think that Kail needs to take some time off and that like all of her recent like social media shenanigans, particularly against Chris and his pregnant baby mama. The woman is pregnant, like that is when you should be able to be at peace and everything like that. So for her to keep antagonizing her is very weird. And like Kail said, she's not even on social media like that. So like, is she hoping that someone will share the videos with her and like ties her? Well, like it's weird. I think she quit the show because she posted on her story when I was following her that she makes more money from the podcast. Yeah, like she claims that, but I haven't heard a formal thing. But here's the thing. They're under contract for like season A, season B and stuff. So I think the next season was supposed to be a B season. So if that's the case, she can't formally quit quite yet. And yes, Shan, she definitely needs a new therapist, a new break, like Sabrina says too. Kail has to want to change, yeah, and lose the negative mindset. I don't see that playing out. No amount of therapy or vacations can fix her. Well, that's the thing. Like how can she get herself to decide to want to change and do better, and she very well could be burned out. I don't know, like whatever it is, I hope she finds help for it because it's tough. It's really tough, and it's too much. It really is. And all of this playing out on the internet is just not a good idea at all. She studied communications. She knows about journalism and the internet and how permanent it is. So why do this? Like, first of all, for her brand, second of all, for her children, third of all, what will she gain? Like if Chris and this other baby mama break up, then what? That is just another chaotic situation for her own kids as well. Like she should want for him to have a stable woman in his life, who will be there for him and the kids that they share together. Hi, MR. Thanks for another super chat. You say, I'm hurt I couldn't message. How do I become a member? Sorry, I always do private streams with my channel members. We're just trying it out, doing it publicly for the second time now. But it's youtube.com/gracereport/join to sign up. Thank you so much. Shit. Let me see. I'm just going to round up some of your comments here just to make sure I've got it all, because that is it. That is your recap of the podcast this week, this morning. But I really just want to know more of what you guys are saying. And like Shan says, please make sure to check out my website, realitymerch.com, for all sorts of reality merchandise. It's Christmas. So to get your order in time for Christmas, you would have to purchase it by December 8th. Just a quick heads up over there. So not every androgynous woman looks like Justin Bieber. Sorry. It is true. People do always say that. I'm sorry, but maybe it's the eyes or something. Because here's the thing about Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber is a very beautiful man, so to me it's a compliment. Do you think she quit Teen Mom? She's been hinting about it, but I don't know for sure. If she is locked into those contract right now, she wouldn't be able to anyway. They would have to fire her. So maybe that is something that she is hoping that they will do. She's probably being difficult on purpose so that they will eventually let her go. Kind of like how Janelle was being very difficult until MTV had to let her go. Okay, but yesterday she posted that she will not be filming the building process because editing is too expensive. What does she mean? Like on her own YouTube channel, maybe? Honestly, podcasts apparently make a lot of money and they do have a lot of ad breaks, but I don't know. I feel like 500K, and especially because she's splitting revenue on both podcasts, I don't know. I feel like she might be embellishing at least a little bit. My stepkids have a toxic, spiteful mom. Thank God I have her blocked on every social media, but I can only imagine what she's saying about me and my fiance since we got together. Ouch. I am so sorry for you. It's so unfortunate, right? Because you're there, you're loving her children's dad, hopefully loving her children as well. So what is there? Like, what does she gain out of harassing you? It's not fair. Yes, I will. I haven't watched a reunion yet. I actually will be watching it after the stream, and then I will do another stream on it tomorrow. So don't worry. Yes, it would be interesting if they left her and kind of kept on going with the show. Because honestly, I feel like the show can go on at this point because she hides way too much. She hides way, way, way too much. And like her life is interesting. if only she were going to be open and honest about it, you know? So at this point, I would like to see Chris continue to film though, because remember, Kail blocked him from being able to film with the children. But I think that MTV is going to go the Devon route and let him continue to film anyway, but by himself. So long as that happens, but if Kail quits the show, it would not be possible anymore. And yes, she definitely does. She reminds me of her. You know, side note, you guys, but like Orange is the New Black was so good until like the 4th season. That's when and it makes me sad because that show was the bomb. Okay. So like to see it go downhill like that was so devastating. Like that was my jam. I was obsessed with it. Rebel is just telling a little bit more of her story as a stepmother. But you guys, thank you all so much for tuning in, and to my premium co-reporters, aka my channel members, thank you so much for participating in the chat. You guys, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up on your way out, and I will be seeing you soon. I got a bunch more videos coming out today. We're going to talk about Amber. She gave a little bit of an update about her relationship with Leah, so I'm about to publish that video once I get off here, and a lot more. Tomorrow is my live stream about part 1 of the Teen Mom Reunion special as well. So please keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, please give it a thumbs up on your way out, and I'll see you next time. Bye.